let me give you this scenario, right? So your friend introduces you to this cool game and you're like, wow, this is so cool, I'm gonna play it. And you find out that the game is like old as dirt, right? Like it's like something that your parents played when they were kids, and you realize it's on a console that the company doesn't even manufacture anymore. So you're like, well, I'm out of luck. Like, how do I play this, you know? So you look online and you're like, oh damn, that's an expensive like cartridge, or like that's an expensive console. And you don't want to pay for all that because like it's just one game. Why should you have to pay like $300 or something like that, right? Like, looking at you, Earthbound, holy shit. So you go to the company's like storefront for like their modern games, right? And you see, oh, that old game is right there. That's pretty cool. But it's bundled in with like an online service, right? So you're like, that's kind of weird, you know, pay a monthly subscription for all these retro games. But then you come to realize that all those games are just poorly emulated and sometimes don't even function properly. This is why I care a lot about retro game preservation in the form specifically of emulation. Doing emulation right. Nintendo as a company, I feel like is either really loved or really hated. I wouldn't say I hate Nintendo. If I had to make the choice, I wouldn't give them money. I would much rather emulate their games perfectly legally. The counter argument to this would be an emulator wouldn't be needed if backwards compatibility was the standard. Making one system or console backwards compatible in most modern cases requires emulation anyways for companies like Xbox or Sony or Nintendo themselves. They have released old games many times through the power of emulation, but then shut down any sort of big project for emulation that like they catch wind of. More so specifically Nintendo. This video is just gonna be shitting on Nintendo. The reason why I think we should preserve games, specifically retro games, I think the reason why we should preserve older games is because hardware tends to break down a lot. So do the consoles. So let's say you find like an old game in like your closet or like attic or wherever you keep your old games, right? And it's like, man, my fucking NES with my copy of Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt is right here, but oh shit, it broke. What do? Do I spend money to get it repaired just so I can play this one game? Or do I find a copy of it online and play it? Now, if you want the authentic experience, like a whole like, okay, played it on an old TV, have an old controller, yeah, go for it. I'm all for that. Me personally, if I had to choose, it would be emulated on modern display. Now, some games kind of don't look good on modern display, like if you take like a N64 games like Banjo-Kazooie, I know the Xbox Live port of that game, it looked like dog shit. I'm gonna be perfectly real. It looked like dog shit. It was not meant to be in HD. I still played the fuck out of it. I still loved it. I still love Banjo-Kazooie. But that being my first experience as a kid playing that game and 100%ing it just like that, looking back and realizing how like all those edges and stuff like were really sharp when in reality they should have like been more blurred. It didn't look good. It did not look good. I think we would be better off if companies did emulation right instead of, or at least, how about this? I think we would be better off if companies gave us their old retro games for free. Oh, but they have to make a profit. No, they don't. Those games are like 20 to 30 years old. They make their profits off of modern games. They don't need money for their old shit. So yeah, if you want to be a Nintendo soy boy and be like, hey, fucking, hey, I want to preserve my classics, blah, 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 you know, you want to be like AVGN or Scott the Woz, right? Oh shit, my phone fell. I love AVGN. I love Scott the Woz, right? Kudos to them for being big game collectors, right? I really hope that not a single penny of any of those things went directly to Nintendo. Genuinely. I myself, I can't really say shit because I own a bunch of Nintendo consoles and games. However, I also own almost every single Nintendo console digitally from like the year 1980 something onward on this computer that I'm editing this video on right now. I can play any game I want to at any given point. I just think that's kind of crazy that I can just get an emulator, get a ROM for a game, and play it whenever. I don't see why you'd want to not do that as opposed to buying hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, either get your old console fixed or to buy a cartridge. Collectors are cool, right? Like I said, Scott the Woz, AVGN, love those guys. But it's more so back to the baseline of preserving the games. Yeah, you can collect them and keep them in a box. What good is the game if you can't even play it? You're just like, oh, I have this gray brick, my Donkey Kong Country cartridge. It's here. It's in my hand. Can't play it though. Whatever, video's over. Thanks for watching.